Every once in a while, a story comes across our plate where we're like, hey, something seems interesting here. So there is an interesting one here, and we are joined by Martha Byrne in studio today, and we appreciate her being here, to talk about the fact that her husband is facing some charges on some things that you actually don't know what he's being charged for.
Right.
So let's talk about your story.
So my husband is a former NYPD sergeant, worked in street crime, highly decorated police officer, and then he was in a police chase, a car accident, ended his career.
Right.
So he became a private investigator and became one of the most sought-after PIs, probably in the tri-state area.
Federally licensed.
Federally licensed CGA investigator and working on great high-profile cases. And then on October 28th, 2020, the FBI came to our house and swarmed our house and arrested him for failure to register as a foreign agent based on a case he worked for a few days in 2016 and 2017.
So 4 years earlier.
4 years earlier. Very routine case, background checks, asset searches, did a few days of surveillance where he notified the local police department, as he always did, that he was there. He always was by-the-book guy.
Sure.
So we are still to this day wondering why he was arrested, because everything he did, he was legally allowed to do as a licensed private investigator.
Right.
So you scratch your head going, how are we here? How did this even happen?
What happened after the arrest?
So he was arrested, and we had to put up $500,000 cash bail. And then the first thing you do, you come home and you start getting your files out. He saved every text message, email, invoice, and put the timeline.
Very PI-like.
Very PI-like. That's
Yeah.
what they do. They save everything and see, how did this even happen? So we did a 40-page proffer for the federal government with all this evidence before his indictment and said, look, guys, here's all the evidence. We'll give you everything. Mike will talk to you. He's still to this day never been brought in to speak to, and they still indicted him after the mountains of evidence that is they have it, and we've also given it over to them. So we're still fighting this.
Well, one of the things that caught me about this case is it is very difficult in any legal term to prove a negative. Yeah. You actually have a mountain of evidence where you had said, like, during this investigation, they, like you said, notified local police departments of what he was doing. So it was not like he was hiding anything.
No.
Federally licensed to do all these things.
Right.
He was federally, notified the federal authorities of what he was doing at the time.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you provide all these proofs of negatives, which is very difficult.
Right.
And they still arrest you and say, we're charging you with something, but don't worry about what we're charging you. We'll get back to you.
Pretty much. I mean, we're still waiting. We've seen thousands of pages of discovery to this point, and there's still nothing, because they're never going to be anything.
Well, they're charging you with him illegally investigating things that he was legally licensed by the federal government to do, correct?
It is as a licensed PI. So, by the way, he was hired by an American company, a translation company. He was paid through an American bank, an American check. How can you fail to register as working for a foreign agent when the clients that have hired you, are not giving you a business card saying, I'm a Chinese agent? Like, nothing he did was illegal. What I'm saying, what they asked him to do was within the scope of what he was allowed to do.
So I got to ask the tough question here. It's like we saw, like, General Michael Flynn got caught up in similar things, and they wanted to hit him for FARA stuff. And do you think it's politically motivated for anything you might have been involved with in the past or currently?
I mean, not us. I mean, obviously, like, we're just civilians. We're U.S. citizens. Like, he's a hero. My husband won the Combat Cross for his dedication to this country, to his service for the NYPD. He's a hero. So, no. Is it political on the other side? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the motivation was to put this to the forefront of a case that was just kind of...
And then he just worked on this case for a couple of days,
A couple of days. He did a couple of days in 2016 in the fall, and some surveillance. And then you never thought about it again, and the next thing you know, your life is turned upside down.
What has this done to your family?
It's devastating. I mean, my poor children. I mean, I get so upset because my daughter said, she goes... The fact that I was going public, she said, I'm so glad you're going public. Can you please let the FBI know that they scared me when they were coming down the hallway? And I didn't know
how old
she was
your daughter?
13 at the time. And they arrested him in front of my children. It was so unnecessary because he was a federally approved investigator, which means he was working on other federal cases.
For the federal government,
right. And yet they didn't bring him in 2017 to bring him on as an asset for this case. He would have been so happy to help. And, that's why we fight. We have to continue.
Please keep us posted.
I will.
And the Pipe Hitter Foundation, they are doing a big fundraiser for you guys for legal fees and things like that.
Yes, thank God for the Pipe Hitter Foundation. They really, Eddie Gallagher, they were just unanimously voted to support us and help us fight this, because my husband will never take a plea deal. He will never stand in front of a judge and say he did something he didn't do, so we have to fight for
Absolutely.
everybody.
We'll keep
Yeah.
fighting. Martha
Thank you.
Byrne, thank you so much. Please
Thank
keep
you
us
for
posted.
having me.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Much more ahead on Wake Up America Weekend, the baby formula crisis. We're talking